Hey guys, Sonia here, and I'd like to welcome you to the very first student video that I'll be making on this YouTube channel. It will be on how to properly blow into your head joint. This way you can make a really good sound, and then from there you can put your flute together and start practicing how it sounds with your flute completely put together. The reason why I do a little bit of the head joint first is so you get an idea of how much air it takes to produce solid sound on just your head joint, because you do have to keep in mind that you will have to fill a good amount of tubing in a way, since the flute's is pretty much a tube with holes and keys on it. So just keep in mind that this will just be on head joint. I won't be covering how to make sounds with the entire flute together. That's going to be in the second video. I figure I start off with the very basic thing to do on the flute, and that's just how to blow into your head joint. Alright, so parents, you will be seeing a video pretty soon. I am going to be putting out one student video and one parent video a week. They will be coming out on Sundays, so watch out for that. Also, I will be putting out my vlogs almost every single day. There might be some days I won't be able to vlog, depending on what I have to do in the morning or depending on my teaching schedule. So, without further ado, let's get into how to properly blow into one of these. Now keep in mind, some students might have somewhat of a different head joint. That's perfectly fine. The reason you might have what's called a curved head joint is because of your height, and so therefore in order to be able to reach the entire flute, you will have to have a curved head joint, meaning that you're from pretty much, I would say, about here to the end is actually its own separate piece, and it's literally curved. It kind of looks like the curved part of a candy cane. So just make sure that you have both of those pieces put together, just so you have more of a head joint to actually grasp on, so you don't run into the issue of accidentally dropping your head joint, because that won't be good. Because I know some places where you rent flutes, they actually look to see how the condition of the flute is, so that when they give it to you, they know whether or not you dented the flute more while you had the flute. So really be careful, especially with the head joint, because as you can see, the material is rather thin, especially around the end right here. So you really want to make sure that you're holding it pretty steady with both hands. Now keep in mind, especially for those of you who are starting out and you haven't been playing flute for no more than like a month or so, you might start getting a bit dizzy. Perfectly fine. It's normal. What your body is telling you is like, hey, I don't remember ever having to produce this much air at one time in our existence. Will it eventually go away? Yes. Will it require you to have patience? Yeah. Everybody gets it. I got dizzy when I first started playing flute. So best thing to do, if you are with your instructor, just let them know, hey, I'm starting to get a bit dizzy, and they can just kind of take a second to maybe go over some music theory, or address any questions that you might have. If you're practicing at home, please go ahead and start practicing. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying to stop practicing completely. I'm just saying to stop practicing for that, or just for maybe like 5-10 minutes, so you kind of can regroup, so you don't pass out. Because the last thing I need to have you guys do is pass out because you get into playing the flute. Will you be able to start playing flute without getting dizzy? Yes. It depends on each person. Some people, if you are on the older side, if you're starting the, 11, 12, 13, like preteens, it might take you a little bit less just because you are a little bit older and your body might be able to handle it a little bit better. So it might, take a month or two, month and a half to no longer become dizzy, or play about a solid 30-35 minutes before you get dizzy. If you're younger, pretty much any younger than, I would say, 10 or so, from my personal experience, that's when it will probably take a little bit longer for your body to get used to producing that much air. So just be patient with it, keep practicing, take breaks if you need to. When you're in this stage, I usually have my students practice about 3 to 4 days, depending on their schedule, about 10 to 12 minutes each session, just so they can kind of ease their way into the flute more without going full blast. So I really do recommend you guys to kind of ease into it just a little bit, not to the point where you're like, oh hey, I'll just save all my practice time for later. No, because then you're still going to be dizzy. Alright, it might not be that much because you're attending lessons once a week, but it won't really help too much to hold off from practicing or not practice at all. And I'll get into practicing on another video. So, but moral story, very important to practice. Alright, so the most important thing that you need to remember on how to properly blow into your head joint is that you always want to blow your air straight. Alright, later on you might be able to adjust, you will probably have to adjust your airstream. Actually, you will have to, just because of how the flute is made and the things you have to do to get really good tone and to stay in tune. Alright, so don't worry about your air not getting into your flute. Your air will get into your flute. Alright, about half of your air will go across and about half of your air will go into your flute. So to be able to hit both of those points, just go ahead and blow right across your head joint. Alright, more specifically this little hole right here. Alright, so just to give you a quick anatomy lesson, so like I said before, here's your head joint. Alright, this guy right here is called your lip plate. Alright, so therefore you will have two sides of your lip plate. You'll have an uber short side right here. Alright, and then if you kind of flip it around or turn it, you will see kind of a longer section on your head joint. Now, whether you have a regular head joint like this or a curved head joint, it's still going to look exactly the same. Alright, it's just how this part looks. It's either straight or it's curved, but the lip plates are always the same. So therefore, you always want to make sure that your lip is on the longer side of the head joint. Alright, you'll kind of see why, because number one, you will be, when you play flute, alright, your flute is going to be going to the right of your body. Alright, it won't be going to the left. So hence why the longer side is on the side of like that you will be holding your flute. Alright, if you are on the shorter side, that is your cue saying, hey, I'm holding my head joint incorrectly. Alright, so you should always see the shorter side out, alright, and the longer side towards you. Alright, so just keep in mind that my flute is actually made with different material. Alright, and so therefore the tone quality is going to sound different, and also since this is a video, it's going to sound different as well, but it will still give you a good idea of what to do when it comes to making sound on your head joint, because regardless of how your flute is made, how you blow into your flute is always the same. Alright, different teachers have different embouchure techniques, perfectly fine. Either way, it still gets you to blow into your flute the correct way. So the first thing you always want to do is make sure that your head joint is never like turned, because then you're blocking the air from going across your flute and all of your air will be going into your flute. So you don't really want to play like, because pretty much what you're doing is just blowing random air out of your head joint, and you don't want to do that. You always want to make sure that the hole is pretty much parallel to like the floor or your lap or whatever you want to use. So you always want to blow across. So you should still see some of, you see how like you can see some of my lip hole right there, like the blowhole. You like, if you can see that, then therefore you're kind of in the good realm of how to properly blow into your head joint. So therefore, make sure you also blow into your head joint one steady stream of air. Now, when I say that I'm not saying to overblow with your flute. I'm not asking you to go like that. Ain't gonna work, right? So you always want to make sure that you're pretending as if that all your air has to fit into a straw. I know they recently banned straws, so in about 20 years I might have to use a different term or have an added section on this video and say this is what a straw is. Side note. So once you kind of figure out, okay, this is kind of how I have to have it, you also want to make sure you don't have it too low or too high on your bottom lip, because that also affects how the air goes into your head joint. You want to kind of have it comfortably, like kind of in the middle almost, like or in between the very top part right here where your lip meets your top lip and the middle area, all right, within reason, because everyone's lips are made different. So the sound that you want to make, it's going to be kind of like a warm, loud sound. It's kind of like in between. So it's going to sound like, so it kind of sounds like a choo-choo train almost. All right, and so if I were to take this away from me, what I'm pretty much doing is two. See, it's as if you're saying the number 2 and then blowing into your flute, right? Which will in a way flex these muscles right here. You do actually have various little muscles throughout, like around your lips and even in your lips, possibly that part, I don't know. But it kind of flexes these side muscles right here. So what I would suggest doing is for a couple times just going 2, just so you can kind of get how it feels to do that. Because up until this point, whenever you say 2, like the number or I'll be there too, you don't really think about how you're forming your mouth to say that word. Now, here's the most important thing. Now, since I'm filming myself, I can actually see myself and what I'm doing. Now, if you're doing this in front of your computer, your iPad, however you're watching this video, what I suggest doing, practicing in front of a mirror. So you can see exactly what you're doing with what is called your embouchure. So how you form your lips to make the sound is called an embouchure. And your lips are part of it too, of the definition, since you kind of need those to make sound. So you always want to make sure that you're practicing in front of a mirror, not only to see what you're doing here, but when you have the rest of your flute together, you will be able to see what you're doing finger-wise as well. And that's extremely important since flute is sideways. It's not like clarinet where it's up and down, so you can see your fingers a little bit better. So the only part you might have to practice in front of a mirror is how you're blowing into your instrument. So I'll do that one more time. So really make sure, number 1, you're practicing how to say 2, and notice kind of where your air is going, because you always want to make sure that your air is not going left and right and up and down. You kind of want to have it concentrated. This way you have all your air going across here, all right? You don't want to have it going this way and that way and everywhere except for kind of where it needs to go, because that will, if you have your air going, like having it too spread out, what happens, you'll have, so notice how I'm still kind of getting the sound, but you predominantly hear air. That's what happens when your air is too far, it's too spread out. Also, you want to make sure too you're not doing You're not trying to say, you're trying to say, all right? All right, so really make sure you're not blocking your airway when you blow into your head joint, because what happens is that the air will start to get built up behind your lips, predominantly your upper lip, because that's kind of what's doing most of the blocking of your air until you release it. So you don't want to do. So notice how all of a sudden, like, this really kind of screeching sound all of a sudden kind of sounds like as if someone's trying to needs to change their brakes really bad. You always want to start with the. So notice how I have like a little space here. I'll do it one more time. So you always want to start with that space there, all right, in between your lips, so that your air can properly travel from your mouth over to your head joint. All right, so properly you should always be doing. All right, so homework for this, for those of you who want to kind of be able to properly learn how to do this, whether you're my student or not, I would suggest getting in front of a mirror, whether it's in your bathroom, if you have a mirror in your room, pretty much stand in front of a mirror and be able to make a solid sound like that. It does require a lot of what is called muscle memory. So muscle memory is pretty much something that will be developed over time. This isn't really something that can happen overnight unless you're a prodigy. So muscle memory, pretty much kind of as a simple definition, is when your muscles automatically know what to do when it comes to doing certain things. So for example, walking, your muscles in your legs kind of already know what to do when you walk from point A to point B. Your muscles already memorized what to do when you drink something with a straw. Your muscles already know what to do when like you're lifting a heavy box. So pretty much what it is that your muscles will automatically know what to do when you blow into your flute. So a lot of this, it will come to the point where you no longer have to think about it. It's kind of like walking, like I was mentioning before. You don't really have to worry about thinking, oh God, like hey, I really have to go to work, or hey, I have to go to use the restroom. You don't have to sit there and think, oh God, like how do I walk so I can get from here to there. You kind of figure it out when you're really little and first learning how to walk. So by the time you're older, you already know exactly what to do. You put one step forward and heel, toe, amongst other things. But and that will be how it is for flute too. It will come second nature as long as you keep practicing. And I know a lot of you kids were like, I just want to play awesome songs. You will be playing awesome songs, I can guarantee you. But it's like with regular school stuff. Math class, I highly doubt you never have homework. Same thing with any other classes in school. You do have to practice. Beginner people, especially when you're first starting in general, like I don't really require my students to do like really heavy duty practicing, but I kind of have them ease into it so it's not that much, so this way they can kind of see too, oh hey, like it's not that bad. So as I said before, kind of like little thing you can do right after this, or / homework if you want to call it that, is to stand in front of a mirror and really watch what you're doing with your lips. And always remember, it's never pew, right? You're not trying to go pew 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 pew. We're not trying to be Buzz Lightyear. So we want to learn how to play the flute. So therefore you always want to go two, two. Even if you have to stand there for like 2 or 3 minutes just to see how you say it, perfectly fine. All right. So with that, that's how you properly blow into your head joint. Continue practicing. It'll do you some good. It'll do you a lot of good. Make your parents happy too, and show them that, hey, I respect the fact that you guys are paying for lessons and taking me to these lessons. So with that, I will let you guys go for now. So continue practicing in front of a mirror, and always remember it's 2 and not pew. Alright, see you guys later.